Hey guys, this is Captain Frugal reporting for duty, and today I want to talk about something else in the studio, and that is why have a recording mixer, a mixing board in your studio. Some people think you don't need one today, and to be honest, there is some truth to that. But there's a lot of benefits to having a mixer in the studio too, so I hope you sit back and enjoy. All right, guys, if you haven't been able to tell, I like to have a studio mixer in my studio. I like faders. I'm old and classic that way, but I do really appreciate a lot of the stuff that exists today. So I'm going to talk about a couple points of why I think you should have a mixing board in your studio. Now in this studio here, I have an Allen and Heath mixer. In my office, I have a small little cheap Alesis one, but I like using them for a multitude of reasons. And the first one I like is because you should be mixing with your ears, not with your eyes. Too many people nowadays with the mouse on the board, they're sitting there and watching numbers and things. Whereas numbers are important for headroom and things like that. Ultimately, when you're crafting your sound, you need to start learning to listen with your ears. It's a big mistake to start sitting there getting in the habit of, well, this has to be -6, this has to be plus this has to be that, that's my presets, this is what I like. Because, yeah, as much as it might give you that sound that you're looking for every time, you might be missing out on something even better. So when you're forcing yourself to move knobs and faders and stuff, you tend to get less attention to the screen and more attention to what you actually need, which is the sound. The next point I want to talk about is the sound. Yeah, I talked about it a little bit in the point one, but here's the thing. If you start getting away from those static numbers and start playing around, just play around with those knobs, you're going to get different sounds. On top of that, your mixing board is going to color your sound. So maybe you might find that your preamps on your input device might be a little stale sounding. That doesn't add the color or flavor. Well, maybe use the preamps on your mixing board. Check how the EQ is going to make it sound a little different too, because all those things in every board sounds different. Matter of fact, you buy one brand of board and you buy the same model, there could be differences as well due to the variances in specs. So number two, changes your tonal sound quality. The next one is you can stream live shows. Nowadays with the YouTube and all these streaming services, so important. What better way to get your band out there than by streaming a live concert right in your recording studio or your bedroom if you have to. And for that, you're probably really going to need a mixer. It's going to help craft each sound better, and then you can pump it into your DAW that way. It just really makes everything easier when you're working with a mixer that way than having a multiple input, trying to get each one crafted there, when you can play with it right on the board, and you could have somebody do it live. Because sometimes when you're preparing and you're getting ready, actually most of the time, you're going to sound a little different and play a little different than when somebody's actually watching you. That energy gets there. You know what I'm talking about. When you're live in front of a group, it energizes you. So when lots of people are watching you online, you might be hitting that guitar a little harder, and somebody's going to be riding that fader for you, keeping everything just good. So point number three, playing live and doing live recordings. The next one I want to talk about is reducing the number of plugins on your computer, because a lot of mixing boards have onboard effects. Now, some of them aren't the greatest, but some of them are pretty darn good and usable. So why not alleviate some of the heft, some of the work on that computer? Yeah, I know computers are getting better, but maybe your computer's a little older and it's struggling to handle all those inputs and all those signals. Well, maybe start routing some things through your using the onboard effects on that board to help take some of that load off your computer and processing. So there you guys have it. Some reasons I think it's essential to have a board. Now, granted, I'm old school. I like to have faders. My new system doesn't have faders for the DAW operating system, but I'm working on that. I'm probably going to get one pretty soon so I can operate my DAW with faders and knobs too. It's just something, there's nothing wrong with the mouse. If that's the way you work, more power to you. But it's just me, and some of us like a hybrid system. It's easier for me to sit there and just know where that fader is. I use this track for these things, these tracks for these things, so I get a habit of that, and it's quicker and it speeds up my process and works for me. But once again, it might not work for you. So if you don't mind, in the comments, leave reasons why you think you should have a mixing board in the studio, or if you don't agree, reasons why you think we should not have mixing boards in the studio anymore. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Maybe I'll do a video on it if I get enough good ideas. I've been thinking about reasons why to not have one. I can think of a few, but I wanted to focus this one on the positives. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you taking time to watch this video. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and if you don't mind, check out our Patreon or Subscribe Star. For as little as $1 a month, you can get access to our backlog of music. We're putting music on there that you can use for any of your videos. It's royalty free for you. So if you're making YouTube videos, boom, you can pop those up in the background, complete free. Or heck, you can even use them as ringtones if you want. I've had a couple of people say they really like them as ringtones. And I think, hey, that's awesome. So once again, speaking of awesome, you're awesome. Thanks for sticking it out to the end here. Greatly appreciate it. And as you see here, my studio still needs some work. It's in the process. I'm getting the flooring done, and then we're going to do the sound treatment. So if you're wondering why it sounds maybe a little echoey, it's because I haven't put up the sound treatment around yet because I'm going to get the new floors in first. Well, thank you again. Until next time, keep it frugal.